There's a relatively good balance of demography, if you like, across the village. And that's to its benefit because we're thinking long term with these things. You know, in 15 or 20 years' time, I'm probably not going to be on the planet, you know, but the village is still going to be here and we want it to be viable. And it's only going to be viable if those people have, you know, grown up here.
Now, one of the great things about making the Everything Electric show is we often get the first glance of some amazing new technology or a brilliant project. And this place is no exception. It really is incredible. So, you know, I've heard the theory, I've seen drawings and plans and ideas of how you can make this sort of stuff work. But when you come across it in concrete reality, working right now, that is really special. Believe me, this is exceptional. That there is the Narara Eco Village, and this is the Everything Electric show. And what's really special about this is we are running the Everything Electric show live at the Sydney Olympic Park on the 7th, 8th and 9th of March. It's going to be basically the biggest show we've ever done outside the UK. It really is a must-see. A lot of the technology we're seeing here today will be on display there, plus thousands of test drives and loads of really impressive talks. Be there.
We've teamed up with Duracell Energy to celebrate their brilliant ecosystem of home energy products and their platinum homeowner offer by giving away a Duracell bunny. To win, simply watch to the end and answer a question about the Fully Charged show.
Now, Narara Eco Village is a community-based sustainable living project that's based around a former horticultural research establishment. That's what used to be here. And we're about an hour north of Sydney in New South Wales, Australia. And all the houses here, they're very different. They're not like all regimented the same, but they're all built to very, very high standards, incredibly energy efficient.
This is the dream of the founder, Lyndall Paris.
Right.
In the early 2000s, she realised that as she grew older in life, she wanted to live somewhere where she knew the neighbours.
Right.
And where if she wasn't feeling well, someone would drop round with a dinner or help her with a lift or whatever. And so she got together a group of friends mostly to start with, and they started looking for places that they could build a village from the ground up, which is what we're now standing in the middle of, Narara Eco Village.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea was to live sustainably, so we wanted to demonstrate, and we describe it as a demonstration village of how you can live lightly on the land, as they call it. And part of that is obviously the issue around power. So the village itself has a microgrid. We're connected to the national grid, but essentially we're really using our own power. So all the houses that have been built in the village have an average of 5 or 6 kilowatts of panels on their roof, and that's more than enough on most days to sustain people's power needs. And we were fortunate to be able to apply to ARENA to get a grant to assist us putting in a community battery. And we got a grant which paid for essentially half of the work. So we had to find the other half of the money, but it made a huge difference.
So now all the houses here that generate power are connected to a central switch room and the big battery?
Yes, technically we're what's called an embedded network, operating behind a meter, but connected into the national grid through that meter. And our battery is connected into that. So during the day, surplus power from the houses is stored in the battery. And then at night time, that's the power that people use in the houses.
It's pretty obvious what's behind me. This is the Narara Community Battery. This is 437 kilowatt hours of electricity storage here. You can actually hear the fans running at the moment, so that's keeping the temperature steady. That is being fed by 300 kilowatts of solar that's distributed all over the developments here. Every house has got solar panels on the roof. So I can see from the app that they use to monitor the battery that at the moment it's at 94.9% of charge, so nearly full. It's discharging a mere 2 kilowatts at the moment. Well, that's because there's not much draw, there's no cars charging. Everyone is about to come back home after the day at work and at school, etc., and then that discharge will go off, and that is what this is for. This means that you can have solar-powered electricity all day long, even when the sun's gone down. Over a year then, as the whole community, what would be your the percentage of, say, what you produce that runs the village and what you have to import in terms of electricity?
Around about 60 days a year, which is mostly obviously in the winter,
Yeah.
there'll be days when we don't get enough power
Right.
during the day to last the battery overnight.
Right.
So that's why we're connected to the grid. It
Yeah.
gives us that sort of backup, if you like.
60 days a year, it means about 300 or so you're not using. So you
That's right.
you would take nothing from the grid for those
That's
300
right.
days.
Yeah. For us, power is valuable at night time because
Yeah.
we have a scarce or a limited resource, 400 kilowatt hours of power.
Right.
So we want to encourage people to use power during the day and less at night time. So we have a 2-tariff structure.
Right.
At night time from 6 in the evening till 6 in the morning, you pay a higher price, 60 cents a kilowatt hour
Right.
at the moment. And during the day, power is cheap. We have plenty of it,
Yeah.
more than we need. So you can have whatever power you need at 20 cents a kilowatt hour. In terms of bills, they probably come out to be around about 2/3 of what you would pay
Right.
if you were outside the village and
Wow.
you didn't have panels.
Since May of 2024, all new homes built in New South Wales need a minimum Energy Star rating of 7 out of a possible 10. So in order to meet this requirement, homes need to be designed and built so they need less energy to heat and cool. This requires floor, wall and ceiling insulation, high performance windows, roof orientation for maximum solar generation and using energy efficient appliances.
You can choose how you construct the house.
Right.
So you can use a conventional timber frame on a concrete slab, or you can use, as we've got there, a house which uses hempcrete,
Right.
which is a modern construction fabric, if you
Right.
like. Or there's people in the village who've got mud bricks, straw bales,
And a hobbit house.
and then there's and that's a sort of adobe sacks
Right.
stacked up,
Wow.
and then covered on the outside.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a very big variety of different construction techniques.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So then I think the other big change that I'm interested to see what will happen in the next few years, and it's starting to happen now, is with electric vehicles. So you've recently put in,
Yeah.
as in the community-owned electric vehicle chargers, which I'm using at the moment, which is
Right,
very good, and that's
yeah.
on a very reasonable rate.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you think it's
lot
reasonable.
Yes, well, it's a lot cheaper than if
Yeah.
you're using a charger
Yeah.
outside. But then that could shift the whole system, couldn't it? Because if there were, say, the majority of the vehicles here that people can park next to their houses,
Right.
as we can see, if they were
Yeah.
electric and that power could go both ways, then you're talking a much greater storage. So you could store more of the electricity you produce.
So it's a really interesting question,
Yeah.
because it's sort of something that's part of what we see as the coming future. I mean, firstly, obviously, once you get an EV, you are pulling more power off
Yeah.
our network. So we want to discourage from people who are doing the sort of obvious, which would be to charge it at
Yeah.
night time.
Which makes sense in the UK, totally not here.
But
Yeah.
not here. We
Yeah.
want you to charge in the morning or over the day, because
Yeah.
that's when we have plenty
Yeah.
of power. But EVs themselves provide an opportunity which is really not here yet, but is probably only now 12 or 15 months
Yeah.
away, which is that the EV itself can become a home battery.
Yeah.
And once we have bidirectional charging with the EV, that's the way in which we will start to build the battery capacity of the village. We don't intend to put in a second community battery.
Right.
They're not really as economic as they could be.
Right.
And compared to reusing your EV battery,
already got it, yeah.
Yeah, you've already got it. So our hope is that as we go from 15 EVs we have now to 30 or 40 or 50,
Yeah.
most of those will be able to go bidirectional.
Yeah.
And that way, that's the way people will have a battery to use
Right.
for consumption in their home
Yeah.
at night time.
So if you wanted to come here, how does that work? How much does it cost,
Right.
apart from building the house,
Right.
to get involved and to become part of the community?
Yeah, well, the community is run as a cooperative. So everyone who joins the village, in order to buy a block of land, you need to be a shareholder of the cooperative.
Right.
And that's an investment of $30,000.
Right.
If you were eventually in the end to sell your block, you no longer wanted to be part of the village, and obviously that happens, you know, things move on in people's lives, you get that money back.
Right.
So it's not, you know, a sunk cost.
It's an investment.
It's an investment, yeah. And we have 43 hectares here, so you're investing in really quite a major enterprise.
We've done a lot of the positives. I mean, what have been the real struggles, the negatives, the setbacks, the difficult bits?
The biggest issue really has been the sort of planning issues.
Right.
You know, it's taken us longer than we thought it would take. The whole subdivision process and dealing with the council and those type of things.
So, because they're going to be involved in that, because they want to know who's building what
That's
where.
right, and you know, another element that we talked about earlier is that one of the original plans of the village was to have our own water system.
Yes.
So we do manage our own water system. And that was largely because originally the council didn't feel that it could allow us to connect into the council's mains water system.
Right.
So we started out, we actually got a water license, which was a huge endeavour.
Wow.
And on the floodplain behind you, we were intending to have a water treatment plant.
Right.
I think, you know, frankly, that sort of eventually worried the council because, you know, they felt, well, these people, do they really know how to do that?
Water?
Yeah. So in the end, they came to the party, if you like, and they now provide us with our potable water, and they take away our wastewater.
Right.
But we still have our own water infrastructure. We have a header tanks which are up behind us on the hill here. So we pump water from their supply up into our header tanks, and that's the way we then provide water pressure and mains pressure.
So all the houses here are fitted with two water inputs, if you like. This is drinking water, just standard drinking water any house in New South Wales has. This is non-potable water. This is water you use for watering your garden and for flushing toilets. Now at the moment that is also coming from the local supply, but it's future-proofing because in future they could get that water from their own big tanks that are up the hill and their own water dam here, which would save them a lot of money. So they're not buying the water from outside, they're actually supplying it themselves. It's a bit like the solar, only it's water. Do you get people who haven't got solar panels on their roof, don't have an electric car, but are interested and come and see what you're doing here?
Yeah, so we run an open day every month, and we have done really since the village started.
Right.
And we don't do a huge amount of promotion, but we have, you know, social media, website, that type of thing. We have around about 3,000 or 4,000 supporters on a mailing list.
Right.
And it always surprises me that, you know, we'll run an open day and all we're doing is publicising it on our website.
Right.
And yet we'll always get 25 to 40 people turning up on a Saturday, just interested to see what we're doing and why we're doing it. So it's, you know, I think that's a really encouraging sign that, you know, we set out to be a demonstration eco-village.
Right.
And so we're very keen to get people to be involved and to understand.
So what's pretty obvious is this is a thriving and still developing community that must be an absolute joy to live in. And what they've proved beyond any doubt is that it is possible to build a house with the minimum amount of damage to the environment, using the minimum amount of energy, but also able to generate more than the houses use and store that energy in a community battery and spread that energy around the whole community. This is how all new housing developments should be built. This is a brilliant blueprint. And I just want to thank the people from Narara Eco Village for allowing us to come here and see them and have sausage sizzles and pizza nights. It's been amazing. And see around all these wonderful houses and find out how they do what they do. So we're really grateful to have been here. That's all we've got time for. Please do subscribe to the Everything Electric Show. Do tell your friends that sometimes we cover things that are really interesting like this. And as always, if you have been, thank you for watching.
We're really excited to partner with Duracell Energy to showcase their amazing renewable energy solutions. If you want to reduce your energy bills and join the renewable energy transition, installing home battery storage and solar panels at home is a great way to start. Duracell Energy's ecosystem of products typically partners with solar panels, but they can be used just as effectively without it, particularly for electric vehicle owners or anyone looking to take control of their energy. And with Duracell Energy's Platinum Homeowner offer, viewers can get a custom service that pairs you with top quality products and the best installers in your area. Your installation also comes with a 20-point check, a 6-month performance review, system health checks at 3 and 10-year periods, and outstanding local UK customer support every step of the way. Plus, Duracell Energy's batteries, inverters, and EV chargers work together on one easy-to-use app. With features like dynamic tariff integration and grid services, you'll be able to maximize your return. Ready to get started? You can get your quote today. And don't forget, we're also giving away a Duracell Energy Bunny in every episode. Just answer the question about fully charged by following the link in the description. Good luck!